Hello everyone, I'm Rama from SM Science Alam Shah. I hope all of you are feeling just as great as I do today. Before we begin our wonderful science session, make sure you are equipped with your textbook, exercise book and the necessary stationery. Are you ready? Super! Let's get on with it. Our topic of discussion is Earth. To be more specific, we will be focusing on the main processes of Earth, the geohazard phenomena, and the age of our Earth. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to communicate about exogenic and endogenic processes that affect the changes on Earth. Communicate by generating ideas on how science and technology are used to prepare for geohazard. Communicate about geological time scale of Earth and the method to determine the age of Earth. Communicate about fossils and give reasons for the importance of fossils in the advancement of contemporary science. Wow! We have a lot to learn today. Let's not waste any more time. Boys and girls, did you know that our beloved Earth that we see today is not how it used to be millions of years ago? It has undergone many geological changes that have shaped the surface of Earth into how it is today. There are two geological processes that are responsible for the changes on Earth, namely the exogenic process and the endogenic process. Firstly, let's focus on the exogenic process. The exogenic process is a geological process that occurs on the surface of Earth. Examples of exogenic processes are erosion, mass and land depletion, transport and sedimentation, and finally, weathering. These processes play major roles in changing the layout of Earth as we see it today. So, how do these exogenic processes cause changes to Earth's surface? Let's explore them one by one. Firstly, let's take a look at erosion. Can you tell me what erosion is, boys and girls? Yes, good. It is the process of eroding of Earth's surface by moving agents. Can you give me some examples of moving agents that can erode the surface of Earth? Yes, you are right. Water, waves, and wind. Fantastic! Thank you for trying. Look at the pictures. Imagine being hit by powerful waves day in and day out. Oh my! Even the toughest of the toughest structure would definitely budge. Don't you think so? The second factor is weathering. I am sure you can tell me what this is, boys and girls. Yes, you are right. It is a process of rock fragmentation and decomposition or decay due to changes in temperature, rainwater, frosting, and not forgetting microorganisms. Stalactites and stalagmites are some of the unique formations resulting from weathering. Stalactites and stalagmites. These seem rather interesting, don't they? You may do your own research on stalactites and stalagmites and share your findings with your fellow friends, parents, and science teacher. Believe me, it will be so interesting. Let's look at the next factor now, boys and girls. Mass and land depletion involves soil movement from the top of a slope to the bottom as a result of gravitational force. Now, can you name me an example of mass and land depletion which is quite common in our country? Yes, you nailed it. It is a landslide. This is quite common in our country where there is rapid development on hillsides and the mountain ranges. Now, boys and girls, last but not least is transport and sedimentation. Weathered or corroded materials are moved by agents such as running water, wind, waves, and glaciers. The materials will be sedimented when the velocity of the agents decreases. This means that when the moving agents are in full force, they bring together sediments and silt. And when their moving speed decreases, the heavier sediments will get deposited, causing changes to the earth structure. That's really interesting, isn't it? Next, boys and girls, let's focus on the second type of geological process, which is the endogenic process. Can you tell me what causes the endogenic process? Yes, absolutely correct. The endogenic process is caused by forces from within Earth, which not only forms the surface of Earth but continuously causes changes too. Examples of endogenic processes are mantle convection process, magma activity, and plate tectonic movement. Now, let's explore these processes further, shall we? The first endogenic process is the mantle convection process. The mantle convection process is formed as a result of heat action in the earth core on the rocks of the mantle. The hotter magma is less dense, thus it moves upwards. The cooler magma is denser, thus it moves downwards. This repetitive movement of hot magma upwards and cold magma downwards forms the mantle convection process. The second endogenic process is called the Earth's crust movement, or is also known as plate tectonic movements. According to the theory of plate tectonics, Earth's crust is divided into several pieces of plates. These plates constantly move, resulting in collision and divergence. This movement produces various landforms on Earth and continental drifts. There, boys and girls, what do you think is the cause of this plate tectonic movement? Yes, you are absolutely right. Mantle convection is one of the major reasons for this. Last but not least is the third endogenic process, which is the magma activity. Volcano is a vent on Earth's crust. It allows molten and hot magma to flow out through it in a strong eruption as the pressure builds up in the earth core. A volcanic eruption causes the formation of igneous rocks, which we have previously learned. I wonder, what other impacts these processes can cause apart from formation and changes on Earth's crust? Can you tell me the answer, boys and girls? Not really? Well, here is a little clue. Have you ever heard of geohazard? From the word itself, maybe you can guess that geohazard has a lot to do with natural disasters caused by geological processes. Bingo! You all are absolutely right. To be more specific, the geological process that brings about geohazards is the endogenic process. Can you name a few geohazards that you are aware of? Now, let's check whether your answers are right. Let's take a look at a few examples of geohazards for further understanding. Volcanism. Generally, volcanic eruptions or volcanism occurs due to the magma beneath Earth's crust being forced out by high pressure. Volcanism releases lava, ashes, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfides, and nitrogen dioxide, which are extremely harmful to humans and nature. Goodness me, that sounds like a very dangerous mixture. Another example of geohazard is earthquake, which is a common disaster we hear about every now and then. How does an earthquake occur? Well, boys and girls, the moving tectonic plates create a sudden release of energy along the intersections of tectonic plates and fault lines. The release of energy releases seismic waves from the epicenter, spreading outwards in various directions, creating tremors to Earth's crust, which we then term as an earthquake. Now, let's talk about tsunamis, which are also called big waves. I'm sure all of you pupils out there know what a tsunami is. Can you tell me what it is? Yes, excellent. A tsunami is a series of water waves caused by the displacement of a large volume of water. Do you know what causes tsunamis, pupils? Can you name a few causes which are related to what we learned earlier? Fantastic, you are right. The movement of tectonic plates causes earthquakes, which are major contributors for a tsunami. Are you familiar with landslides, boys and girls? Well, a landslide is a geohazard which is quite common. Let's recall what we have learned before about landslides, shall we? Landslides are the process of mass depletion which involves movement of soil and rocks down the slope under influence of gravity. Factors that cause landslides can be divided into two categories, which are natural factors and human activity factors. Can you think of a few examples of natural factors and human activity factors? Most of the factors are very relatable to what we have learned so far in today's lesson. Next, we are going to discuss the greenhouse effect and global warming. Maybe you have heard about them, haven't you, boys and girls? The greenhouse effect is a phenomenon where heat from the sun is trapped in the atmosphere due to the increase of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. The rampant increase of the greenhouse effect in recent years has contributed to global warming? Can you name some effects of global warming? Yes, good. The melting of the ice cap, the increase in sea level, the changes in Earth's climate, and the upset of our food chain are just a few effects of global warming. Now, what about acid rain, boys and girls? What can you tell me about acid rain? Acid rain, boys and girls, is another geohazard that is often talked about in recent years. The release of acidic gases such as sulfur dioxide and oxides of nitrogen has increased due to human activities. These acidic gases dissolve in water vapor in the atmosphere to form nitric acid and sulfuric acid before falling to earth as acid rain. The effects of acid rain are extensive. Among the many bad effects are decrease in soil fertility, damages to building structures, and destruction of photosynthetic cells. So, when it rains, get your umbrella ready, boys and girls, because nowadays rain is harmful. Now, let's take a look at sinkholes. Sinkholes are quite common too. Do you know what sinkholes are, boys and girls? Sinkholes are holes in the ground caused by the collapse of the surface of the ground. This is usually caused by the dissolution of rocks. Underground water drainage is also a contributor to this. And now, what about quicksand? Quicksand is a geohazard that commonly occurs in wetlands. This happens due to liquefied soil that loses strength and cannot support weight, thus will suck down objects that fall onto it. Oh gosh, there are so many geohazards all around us. Some of these geohazards are so destructive that they can cause so much loss of life and money. We must be thankful that our beautiful country Malaysia is relatively free from many major geohazards such as earthquakes and volcanism. Science and technological advancements have helped humans to prepare for geohazards. Let's find out about devices that help to warn and prepare us for two of the most destructive geohazards, which are the earthquake and the tsunami. Boys and girls, this is a seismograph. It is a device to measure the magnitude of earthquakes. It gives us information on the magnitude, depth, and location of the earthquake. Not only that, the seismograph helps us to predict the epicenter of the earthquake. Besides the seismograph, the tsunameter and tsunami buoy also help to warn us of tsunamis. The tsunameter measures the height of tsunami waves, and this information is then sent to the tsunami buoy, which will then transmit the necessary information to a tsunami warning center. Boys and girls, although there are geohazards that cause destruction, Earth has been our home for billions of years now. Do you know how old our Earth is? Some of you may have guessed it right. Earth is estimated to be 4.5 billion years old. Now, let's explore the age of our Earth. Before we do that, Let's see what a geological timescale is. A geological timescale is the chronological arrangement of geological events. The geological timescale is divided into 4 eras, namely Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Paleozoic and Precambrian. Precambrian is the oldest era, whereas Cenozoic is the present time. Each era is divided into several periods. Boys and girls, have you ever wondered how our scientists determine the age of our beloved Earth? There are 2 ways, which is relative dating and absolute dating. Relative dating is used to determine the approximate age of a fossil by comparing it to similar rocks and fossils whose age we already know. Meanwhile, absolute dating is used to determine the precise age of a rock or fossil through the radiometric dating method. The radioactive dating method uses radioactive decay of carbon-14 and nitrogen-14. Carbon-14 and nitrogen-14 undergo radioactive decay process at a constant rate. By comparing the total amount of carbon-14 and nitrogen-14 in a rock or fossil, the age of the rock or fossil can be determined. This is a simple method, isn't it? Which method do you think is more accurate to determine the age of a fossil or rock? You are absolutely right. It is the absolute dating method because this method shows the age of a rock or fossils through the unit of time. Did you notice I often use the term rocks and fossils in the process of determining the age of our Earth? Let's learn about fossils now. Fossils are remains of plants or animals that lived in the past which are naturally preserved in the rocks. Common fossils are in the form of skeletons, shells, and leaves. Most fossils are embedded in sedimentary rocks and usually discovered due to weathering or human exploration activities. Fossils help to explain the biodiversity of prehistoric organisms besides providing guidelines on the history of living organisms on Earth. Phew, we have learned so much today, haven't we? Ahaha! Stay with me for the next part of our lesson. I hope you will try out the exercises that I have prepared for you based on what we have learned today. Now, let's try the following exercises. Please write your answers in your notebook. Question 1. What are exogenic and endogenic processes? Let's check out the answers. Exogenic process is the process that occurs on Earth's surface. Endogenic process is caused by forces from within Earth. Question 2. What are the agents that cause erosion? Yes, super. The answer is water, waves, and the wind. Question 3. Moving on. What is the plate tectonics theory? Try to think about it. This question is a little tough. fabulous! According to the theory of plate tectonics, Earth's crust is divided into several pieces of plates and they move over Earth's surface. Question 4. Explain the mantle convection process. You have 15 seconds to figure this out. Yes, good. It is the repetitive movement of hot magma upwards and cool magma downwards. Super! You are doing great, pupils. Question 5. List 3 examples of geohazards. Come on, challenge yourself. Yes, earthquake, volcanism, landslide, and many more. Looks like you focused well during our lesson. Good for you. Question 6. What are the impacts of geohazards to humans? Yes, loss of human lives and economical losses. Question 7. Name 4 eras in geological timescale and the period where we are in now. Yes, you are absolutely right. Precambrian, Paleozoic, Mesozoic and Cenozoic. We are currently in the Holocene period of Cenozoic era. Boys and girls, we have now come to the end of our lesson. You are now able to communicate about exogenic and endogenic processes that affect the changes on Earth. Communicate by generating ideas on how science and technology are used to prepare for geohazards. Communicate about the geological timescale of Earth and the method to determine the age of Earth. Communicate about fossils and reason about the importance of fossils in the advancement of contemporary science. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Thank you for joining me. See you again in the next class. Goodbye.